welcome back to the flip side. Today is the last episode in the series, and both Jake and I have had so much fun making the series for everyone. We are going to talk a little bit about Happy Healthy Brain Foundation, but also y'all have some questions for Jake. I took to Twitter and all of you guys are so interested in just his life and mental health. So Jake, are you ready for these questions?
I'm ready, yeah. Thank you guys so much for putting those questions in.
First question, at Jessica Zanner1 said, what was your journey to the Olympics like for you mentally?
The journey was really, really crazy mentally. Because the Olympics had been something I had looked forward to, kind of was hoping to make happen since I was a little kid. So the whole process was really cool, getting the invite, getting qualified and all that. It was stressful at first. I remember the first event, the first qualifier I did, there was 4 of them, and you have to be top 4 average after all 4 qualifiers. The first one, I didn't even qualify for finals, so I did terribly at. And then the second one, I ended up winning, so that secured my spot. And that was just like a huge relief for me, and it was crazy because it's almost like somewhat of an advantage, or it's somewhat rare to actually win the event that's the Olympic qualifier and get qualified, because then you don't have to do 2, and usually it's the 2 events combined, 2 best results that qualify you. So I was super relieved, and it was awesome. I remember coming back into my hometown and just seeing like all these banners and cool stuff around, and all these people that were family friends and stuff in the area put all this together.
That's so cool. Like, I feel like everyone dreams about that when they're little, like going back to their hometown and having like a parade and people, like, that's incredible. Question number 2, at Sammy_lifestyle XOXO said, how do you balance your personal life with being a traveling professional athlete?
That's a really good question. I ask myself that question all the time. I'm like, how do I do this? You know, it's tough. And that's a really good question, because I find myself a lot of the time being an introverted person. And I don't necessarily have a huge social life aside from my snowboarding friends, basically. I spend a lot of my time alone. I basically work on my foundation and music as much as I possibly can. Yeah, having a personal life it's important, but for me, it's kind of on the side burner just because I've got a lot going on. So, but that's a really good question.
100%. And I think like people in our age range, like it's just, we're growing up so differently than, you know, people in the 70s or the 80s, like it's like we're these, you know, Gen Z millennials who are like running their own companies at 25 and who are like working from home. And it's not just because of COVID, you know, it's like, it's just how people roll. Like they run 5 different companies and they're, you know, creating apps and doing all these, you know, things virtually.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Okay, question number 3. At LilyG2 says, she wants to know, how long does it take you to learn a new trick for a competition?
I guess as time has moved on, it's been harder to learn these tricks just because they're bigger and scarier. But the last trick that I tried to learn for an event was a front double 12. And I had actually thought about that trick and basically visualized it in my head for like 3 years before I even tried it. And then I owe a lot of this to BrainTap, actually, that headset.
Yeah.
It really helped me visualize this trick a lot and kind of build that like muscle memory in my brain. And then when I went to go try it, I just did it first time. And it was like I had already kind of learned it in my head. So my body like knew what to do. It was really cool, but it takes different amounts of time for different tricks just because some are harder, some are just stylish, some are, you know, it varies, but that's a really good question too.
Yeah, that's cool. Like how you have, you know, because I think visualization is like a huge part of it. Like, okay, before you go to a competition, do you ever like kind of visualize like the night before, like you landing the trick, or like do you have like, besides the BrainTap, do you have like a process?
I literally will sit in I do this pretty much constantly. It's weird. It's almost like a second nature kind of thing. I was literally driving yesterday on the highway, Megan, and I was visualizing a trick at the same time and like swerved because I was like thinking about it. I'm not like, no joke. Now that you brought that up, I was like, oh my God, I remember that happening yesterday.
That's
All right, just to jump off topic real quick, but yeah, literally every event, I gotta visualize my whole run, and yeah, I mean, I make sure that in my head, I'm seeing myself actually land it and finish it.
That's awesome.
And I actually,
Hey, I do the same thing. Like when I am doing like a TED talk or something, or like speaking in front of a lot of people, I tend to like black out. Like it's not because of nerves, but like I literally, and I feel like athletes relate to that. You just go into this zone and like
I would say, yeah,
the words just come out, and then at the end, I'm like, whoa, I feel like I'm like brought back down into my body. I'm like, it's over.
yeah, that's you being in like that theta alpha brainwave frequency. It's crazy. You basically become like a zombie, and you start like daydreaming, and stuff just kind of like happens.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Okay, next question. At Joe_Kellen wants to know, what was the inspiration behind Happy Healthy Brain?
Thank you, Joe, for the question. That's an awesome question. The inspiration behind Happy Healthy Brain, I think, was the fact that there is a lack of objectivity in sports concussion protocols, as well as my experience with head injuries and my friends' experiences with head injuries. You can go to a neurologist and get diagnosed. A lot of the time people have trouble finding treatment and having successful treatment. That was kind of the inspiration behind it all, was to help that process be more fluid. So
Yeah, and that's something, you know, as like, I'm obviously not a professional athlete, but it's like, that's something that you don't typically think about. It's just, you know, not only kind of the mental part of it, of, you know, the emotional support and just letting people know they're not alone. And there's not a lot of awareness of like,
that process of getting treatment and getting the right treatment and helping yourself is what the foundation is trying to help.
yeah, I love that. Okay, next question. At Kiki Lee_12 wants to know, what is your number one tip for young snowboarders who want to go professional?
Don't expect money to be in the sport, because
Yeah.
it is crazy out here. Our sport is a dying sport, unfortunately, but there's a lot of people trying to do things to help it move forward. Being a pro snowboarder is not as glamorous as it seems. It's really tough nowadays to have a career in this sport. But aside from that, I would say the most important thing for a young up and coming snowboarder that wants to be pro is to have as much fun as you possibly can, and just enjoy the process. Like every day that you're riding, enjoy that. You know, when you're having fun, I think that's when you're snowboarding good. And when you're snowboarding good, then, you know, good things happen. So
Yeah, that's so true. Okay, next question. At Lola_90 wants to know, I keep on saying says, I don't know what sounds better. At Lola_90 wants to know, what company/brand do you love to use for your snow gear, like for your clothing?
right now I am using Oakley gear, and I've been wearing the new Gore-Tex outfit, and it's just like really light, and the material is super nice, super waterproof. It's super warm.
Mm-hmm.
I basically, when I go out, I have Burton boots, Burton board, Burton bindings,
Yeah.
Ethica underlayers on, and then Oakley for my snow pants, jacket, sweatshirt, goggles, and gloves. Oakley stuff is like, it's really awesome. It's like probably the nicest stuff, I think.
That's so cool. Okay, next question. At J_Leet78 is asking, how do you stay in the zone during competitions? Like, is there a mantra or an affirmation that you have, or some type of pre-competition ritual?
Yeah, you know, the visualization is a huge part for me. I really feel like if I can visualize my run good in my head, then I can do it good on the snow. So for me, I run through my run a couple times in my head and make sure that that's all good, and get my music going, bumping pretty good. And yeah, try to just be really positive and have like good energy kind of flowing around.
Yeah, I love that. Just get the good vibes going.
That's all it is.
Do you also like, this is just a personal question I have, do you, because obviously I know you're so into mental health, do you like meditate or like do breath work or anything like before competitions?
Yeah, so it's actually cool that brain tap device that I use. Part of the sessions included in the app are actually basically all meditation sessions. So it's like a guided meditation, including some science through like binaural beats and isochronic tones, and there's neurolinguistic programming, and that's kind of like my meditation. That's how I get my meditation in, and breath work. Certain sessions on the app have directions for breath work and stuff. It's all guided, so it's super cool.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and you can find that company on Instagram at BrainTapTech, or you can go to happyhealthybrain.com, and it's featured on my website as well. So
that's so cool. Okay, last question. It is from @FinnWheat. He wants to know, how old were you when you first went on a snowboard?
I remember before I even started snowboarding, there was these little hills behind my friend's house, and we had like those plastic ones from Walmart that you go pick up. If you count that as a snowboard, I would say I count that because it's a snowboard. It's a terrible snowboard, but it's a snowboard. And I was getting on those, I think I was like 7 or 8. And then that's like right around the time that I started.
Wow. That's so cool. Oh my gosh. Okay. Those are all the questions. Thank you everyone for submitting. These are just, a cool, like good mixture of talking about mental health, snowboarding, all that good stuff. As we close out this amazing series, which has been so much fun to make, I would love to just share with everyone where they can find Happy Healthy Brain, and we can, share personally any resources. If there is anyone watching or listening who feels like they're struggling with anxiety or depression, or who just, needs someone to talk to.
Yeah, if you guys are looking for mental health resources or even brain health resources, I know those two kind of go hand in hand. But you can go to happyhealthybrainfoundation.org, and there's a few technology companies that you guys can read up on that my foundation's partnered with, that are in the space of trying to help people with brain health and mental health. And then also a big focus of my foundation right now is to set up these baseline brain scan banks. Our first community right now, Aspen. If you guys are locally in Aspen, please, and you're looking for mental health help, or you're looking for brain health help, please get a hold of me, because our foundation is basically setting up these brain scan banks in Aspen at the moment. This is going to be our first location. So basically people can have a really good idea of what their brain chemistry is looking like in case anything happens to you, in case you get in a car accident or you slip on ice or something bad happens, God forbid it. You can come and get your baseline brain scan before, and if anything happens, see what's going on with your brain after, and help get treatment and stuff. And we're trying to provide that for the communities and stuff. So please go to our website to learn more. We'll have a newsletter coming out, and you guys can sign up for that at the bottom of our site. And yeah, so Megan, thank you so much again for having me on, and this series was so much fun. And yeah, thank you guys for all the questions, and thanks for watching. So.
Yes. And seriously, you guys, this series, even though this is the last episode, it doesn't end here. Just continue having those open conversations with your friends, family, loved ones. I know for me, this year has just been crazy, and there's been so many things going on. And I know everyone says it all the time, but it's just really, really, really important, when you feel like you want to close up and like you don't want to reach out to people and you don't want to, work out or eat that healthy meal, just continuously push yourself to open up even more and to put yourself out there. But we hope you guys love this series. And once again, use #TheFlipSide. We all want to see the tips, the tricks, the routines. But thank you everyone for tuning in. Bye.